Hey there. I just wanted to record a short video myself of something that I forgot to do in class the other night, but I wanted to show you was possible about creating histograms. And everything we did in class was, on the whiteboard by hand, creating our own histograms. And I wanted to show you that there's actually a pretty neat tool in Excel that will automatically create the bins, count stuff, summarize stuff, and make everything to create a histogram within the Excel program. So I'm just going to show you step by step. And I have some data here that's actually from work that I've got. We've got a lecture capture system, so I'm able to pull data and information about how much these videos are watched. And I get all the way down, breakdown to number of minutes viewed, whether it's like they opened it and then they immediately closed it because that was the wrong video, or, they watched 2 minutes, 2 minutes, or half an hour, etc. And I've got a lot of data points here. In fact, if I go to the very end, hit Control down arrow, I see that there are 221,983 data points. So I could stare at this data all day long and still have no idea what it says or what it means. So what I want to do is actually create a histogram that shows me how long are people watching these videos, so I can get a sense, I can get a feel for how valuable they are as a learning tool for our students. So the first thing you have to do in order to make sure that you can use the histogram tool that's built into Excel is actually turn on something called what is it called? The solver add-in. It's an add-in. I can show it to you. If I go to Excel add-ins, the Analysis Toolpak, that is your BFF if you want to do any sort of statistics in Microsoft Excel. And it basically beefs up Excel to be just as good as some of the lower end statistics only programs like SPSS. So I'm just going to check that, turn that on, and now when I go to my data tab here, there's this data analysis button. And if I click on data analysis, I've got all these cool tools that you're going to find all about. Correlation, we're going to be talking about that. Hey, look, there's histogram. Sampling, regression, t-test, z-test. We're going to be looking at all those a little bit later on the semester, but right now we want to look at just histograms. So if I choose that I want to make a histogram tool, notice I have to obviously have an input range. So what am I, what data am I looking at? And then it also wants a bin range. So before you even get started with the histogram, you have to look at your data and think about what are my bins and what are my ranges. So I'm going to actually cancel out of this. And I'm going to use a couple of formulas to help me develop my bin ranges. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some formulas. And to start any formula, you can click on the little FX button right here, or you can just hit the equal sign when you're in a cell, and that's how you start writing a formula. And I want to find the minimum value of this range. So there's a formula called min. And notice I start typing it, and it automatically says, oh, do you mean min? Because this is a formula that's in there. And I want to find the smallest of a bunch of numbers. And instead of typing in all these numbers individually, I'm just going to say anything from, this is column D here, and this is row 2 here. So D2 all the way to, and that the colon means this range of numbers, including everything in between. And it's D, what was it, 221,982, I think. Let's take a look. I go down, Control down arrow, 221,983. I was off by 1. 221,983. And we see the minimum value is 0. So the other thing, I want to have 10 bins so I can have a nice histogram. I could also do this as 4 bins, but let's start with just 4 bins. So I want 0 we know is the min value, and then we're going to have sort of the first quarter, and then the halfway point, and then the highest value, right? So there's going to be 4 total bins. So I want, so this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and the max value. So now I use, instead of saying min, I say equals max and I open that up and I say everything from D2 to D221,983. Close my parentheses. The most someone watched in that range was 409 minutes, so that is quite a long time. But then I need to sort of break them in half. So what I need to do here is I'm actually going to copy the formula, Control-C, and Control-V, paste the formula. But notice in my formula up here, because I moved down one, it moved my formula down one as well, which I don't want to do. So to do that, I'm going to change this to a $sign and 2, so it won't change it again. And if you put the $sign in front of the thing you don't want it to move down, then it'll forever keep that. So now if I hit Control-C on this one and then Control-V here, notice $sign 2, it's still a 2. $sign here, it's still 221,983. And then I'm going to paste it again here. But I want to cut them into quarters here. So I want to go times 1/4. Oops, 1/4. Right? Oops. So the minimum value of that divided by 4. Wait, nope, not the min. I want the max. I want the max divided by 4. There we go. And then we want the max over 2, right? Because that's the halfway point. And then we want the max times 3/4. Right? So 0, 100, 200, 300, 400. Right? And that's a quick way to get my bins. And now I have in my cells somewhere a range of stuff that is the bin range. All right, so now we're ready to do some data analysis. Let's do our data analysis. Histograms, what we want to do, we say okay. Our input range, I already know that, is D2 colon all the way down to D221,983. And my bin range, I can actually click on this button since my bin range is right in front of me here. If I click this button, it says, oh, what would you like to select? And then I just use my mouse and I say, this range is what I would like to select. And I click this button here, it says put it in here, and F2 to F6. And I would like you to output this information, the binning, the histogram data that you're going to have here, on a new worksheet. So, oh, and I could even check a box and it will make the bar graph for me, the chart output. All right, so click OK here, boop, 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 and there we go. Insta histogram. Resize this. Now notice, again, some of the things that we said earlier about histograms is that to indicate that it is continuous information, one of the things that we want to do is make sure that there's no gap. I set the gap at 0. And I say, okay, and boom, now it's very histogrammy. But God, all these blues kind of blend in together. Let me see if there's something else I can do with the fill color. I can vary them by point. And now, oh, okay. And look at that. It's got this thing over here that I don't like. So I can actually turn the legend off. Because there's my bins and there's my frequencies. But I maybe chopped this up too much because a lot of people didn't watch much at all or watch up to 102 minutes. Even more watched between 100 and 200 minutes, and then almost nobody watched for more than 200 minutes on any particular video. But this probably isn't enough information. These bins are a little bit too big. So let's do this again. I'm going to go back over to my View tab here, and instead of cutting them into quarters, I think I'm going to cut them into tenths. So I'm going to have 10 different bins. And again, do this. I say my max divided by 10 times 2 divided by 10 times 3 divided by 10 times 4 divided by 10. Oops, I can copy that. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whatever, times 4, so times 5 over 10 times 6 over 10. I know I'm starting to sound like Sal because I'm getting really boring, but I have to say all the different things. 9, and that's times 10 over 10, or just the max. There we go. So now we have some more bins. They're a little bit better. They're broken up a little bit more. So I could say 0 to 40 minutes and 40 to 80 minutes. So they're in approximately 40 minutes bins. So let's do our data analysis one more time. Data, analyze it in a histogram. Give me a chart. And go. Poof. There we go. And now let me take a look at this histogram. Again, let's fix it to have no gap. Vary the colors by point. And again, it looks like most people watched 40 to 80 minutes. They watched, you know, an hour plus or minus 20 minutes. The next one was probably a lot of zeros. And then after that, they were about 80. So it is sort of, it's starting to get a little bit more sort of normal curve with a little bit of that tail off to the right. Especially if we compare it to this one, it's still roughly the same, but I'm getting a better feel and I can see a little bit better what's happening. Anyway, this is a quick and easy way to create your own histograms using Excel, because why do the math if the computer can do it for you? That's it.